This is the African Report from Topacolit News. We're starting with a focus on human rights. Two South African engineers, Frik, Potgieter and Peter Huxham, are back home after spending over 2 years in prison in Equatorial Guinea on drug charges the UN deemed arbitrary and illegal. The pair, who worked for Dutch firm SBM, were arrested in 2023 after drugs were allegedly found in their luggage, sentenced to 12 years and fined $5 million. Their family and South African government say the arrests were retaliation for South Africa's seizure of assets linked to Equatorial Guinea's vice president. The engineers were released after receiving a presidential pardon following international pressure and a UN call for their release. Now on business, the Democratic Republic of Congo, which supplies more than 70% of the world's cobalt, has extended its export ban on the crucial battery metal for another 3 months in a bid to curb market oversupply and stabilize prices. The move follows a 4-month suspension that began in February after cobalt's price plunged to a 9-year low, largely due to oversupply and weakening demand for electric vehicle batteries. While global miner Glencore has backed control exports, major producers like China's CMOC Group and Eurasian Resources Group have pushed back, citing economic concerns. The government says a final decision on the ban's future will come by September. Now in culture, the Netherlands has officially returned 119 Benin Bronzes to Nigeria, more than a century after they were looted during the 1897 British invasion of the former Kingdom of Benin. The artifacts, metal and ivory sculptures dated from the 16th to 18th centuries were held by Nigeria's museum chief, Olubile Holloway, as endowments of the spirit and identity of the Benin people. The reinstitution is part of a wider global movement, with Germany also pledging to return over 1,000 pieces as Nigeria continues efforts to reclaim its cultural heritage from the museums across the UK, the US and beyond. Now in health, the World Health Organization has declared a global health financing emergency, warning that international health investments could drop by 40% this year from over $25 billion in 2023 to just $15 billion, the lowest in a decade. WHO Dr. Calypso Chalkido says steep aid cuts by major donors, including the US, EU, and several European governments, are crippling health systems in developing nations, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where some countries rely on external support for up to 30% of their healthcare budgets. Nations like Malawi, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe are particularly vulnerable, now spending more on debt repayment than on public health. WHO reports widespread service disruption reminiscent on COVID-19 peak and is urging countries to reduce aid dependency, implement health taxes and access low-interest loans, with concrete funding pledges expected at an oncoming conference in Seville. Now in security, at least 7 Ugandan soldiers have been killed in Somalia during a fierce 3-day battle against Al-Shabaab militants in the lower Shabelle region. The troops were part of the African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, which has been battling jihadist insurgents despite facing several fundings and personnel shortages. Ugandan's army confirmed the losses as the town was retaken from militants amid growing fear of a jihadist resurgence across Somalia. Somalia currently has just over 11,000 troops, but says it needs at least 8,000 more to sustain its mission. The attack follows a string of recent offensives by Al-Shabaab, including one in March targeting Somalia's president in Mogadishu. Now in agriculture, Egypt, one of the world's largest wheat exporters, is expecting fresh wheat shipments from France and other European countries in the coming week as part of efforts to strengthen food security and reduce reliance on volatile Black Sea routes. The state's grain agency, Future Egypt for Sustainable Development, confirmed that a vessel will begin loading 60,000 tons of wheat at France's La Palisse port, with 2 more shipments expected by early July. Officials say the country is securing the late imports through year-end, while also expanding its European supplier base to support large-scale deliveries. Vegetable oil imports are also arriving regularly at Alexandria port, with the government reporting strategic food stockpiling now covering over 6 months of national consumption. That is the African News Update for now on Topacolit News. Do stay with us for more African news updates and developments. I am Blessing Bassi.